Millennia of history have accumulated in the Eifel Mountains. Castles, towns, and villages have aged and provided markers of humanity in this region. But none may go on to be as famous as a thin strip of pavement that weaves its way among the hills. At less than 100 years old, the Nurburgring is a mere blip on the timeline compared to other landmarks here. And yet, ask any race fan around the globe about this new kid on the block, and they'd likely know much more about the racetrack than any of the wars or settlements this area has seen. Today, a miniature war of our own will be witnessed as we get ready to watch round 10 of the iRacing Kamel GT series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Ducky Beard. Sean, it's the ring. I've already regaled our listeners about its fame, but why don't you give us the nitty-gritty about this place?
Well, the nitty-gritty, what you really need to know is 12.94 miles today, 20.8 kilometers. It's 154 turns today on this industrial farting section of the track. 60 minutes today, George, in the Audi and the Nissan, Joe, in the Nissan and the Audi. You know, they built it in the mid-20s, and the Nurburgring was originally two circuits, a 7.7 mile southern loop and the 14-mile northern loop, which hosted the German Grand Prix. And, you know, the old southern loop fell victim to the wrecking ball back in '82 due to safety concerns. And, well, they put the Grand Prix circuit there. But today, the drivers got to make an assault on what is widely considered the world's most demanding road course. Welcome to Green Hell. Now, the circuit boasts an elevation change of nearly 1,000 feet per lap, but words can't do that justice. Let's hop on board for a ride around, an abbreviated ride around with the GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Clayton McLeod in the GSRC Nissan, so let's do a lap around the Nürburgring. Coming up to the north curve, you got to be careful not to outbrake yourself with a dip in elevation. Now, we've got to shorten the lap since we don't have time for a full one. Jumping up to high oaks, these are corners that are extremely important to your lap time. Get a poor exit and it'll compromise your speed on this long stretch. Be careful up and over fluke plots because the car will get light here and you want it nice and planted through this double apex right-hander. A little farther down the road is the Swedish Cross, which is flat out in the Nissan. But you've got to stay to the left side of the track to set up for the best line into Ehrenberg. Even though you've got a lot of banking through here, you need to be very careful getting back to the throttle so as not to spin the car. Skipping the valley, Outenauer Forst presents a very tricky sequence of corners. Each one is slower than the next, so trying to bleed off speed while keeping grip can certainly feel pretty hairy. Ideally, you want to set yourself up for the best run into and out of the final right-hander so that you can get a launch down to Metzgefeld. We're going to go past that to the Spiegel curve, where you got to feather the throttle, then hold the left and swing it into miss-hit-miss. That middle apex is the important one, but be sure not to understeer wide into the barrier before Defense Valley. This downhill braking zone is one of the scariest on the track. A quick kink into a slow corner with no runoff means a small problem can become a big one before you know it. But up ahead, we're now braking for Bergwerks. You're going to be climbing uphill with your foot flat to the floor for a long, long time, so be sure to set up your exit properly and don't hesitate too much with your right foot. At the top of the hill is Stahlstrecke, which, if you're brave, can offer a place to pass. It's very tough to keep the car tucked in through here, and I find it frustrating to hit that middle ground just right. From off the corner, it's another short climb, and then you're at the infamous carousel. Line up from the outside of the track and swing it down in. Letting it drift out of the concrete banking and feeding onto the throttle will take a lot of trial and error to find a limit. Across the top of the hill, the entry to Ashbrook may catch a few drivers out if they forget about the understeer. Then you're plunging down into the double apex left, making sure to hug the inside on the exit for a better entry into Brüchen. Then you've got Flansgaard, where once again the car will get incredibly light right before a very important fast turn. This section will be all about threading the needle and going as fast as you dare. Jumping ahead, the braking for Swallowtail often causes a car or two to lose the rear end and wallop the barriers. You'll want to make sure you slow up in time for the left-hander and then be patient with the throttle. The Mini Carousel is a smaller, similar version to its bigger brother, where you just want to drift off that concrete at the end. And then Gallows Hill is going to test the mettle of every driver because this patience-trying right-hander tempts you into trying to go through it flat out. Problem is, a late lift is going to hurt you enormously now that you've hit the Dottinger Hohe. You won't be lifting the whole way past the castle until Tiergarten. Keep your right foot pinned, and then be sure not to brake too hard into Hohenrad, or else you'll lose the car. Finally, there's the street course-like turn 13, and if you've kept it together, you've now finished a lap around the Nurburgring.
There you see, that is just a portion of the lap. Even for the faster car around here, it is a long way around the Nürburgring. Now, there is no qualifying happening right now. They do the qualifying earlier in the week for this track. So with that, as we let the warm-up go by, let's take a look at the points championships, starting with the prototypes. Rob Olenek, a mere 4 points ahead of Jamie Hall. Ardo Yamaki, with his miss last week, fell down the order into third, and Clayton McLeod, Fabian Gerber round out our top 5. Gerber with a fantastic race last weekend. There's also the Prototype Lights, which is basically the amateur championship that they keep track of in this series. Luis Emerton still leading the way. John Keith tried to give hard chase on Luis, but he's got almost 20 points to try and gain on him. Martin Krejcik, Mike Kopak, and Dave Peterson round out our top 5 over there. How about the Audis, though, Sean? What do the championships look like over there?
Joe, let's run through that now here for our viewers. Great championship going on over here with the Audis. Let those points go up here before we go through those. There we go. Michael Houghton, top of the GTO standings, tied with Obi Trengrade, who, I'll tell you what, is a really hot driver right now, Joe, and he's worked his way up to first, tied with Houghton. Viderola only 7 points behind with 3 races left to go. Folks, this battle for the championship is going to be an exciting one, down to the wire. Ben Laughter, 24 points out right now. And Phil Lake sitting back there, 32 points behind. Again, a real tight battle there at the top 3. Let's look at the other standings now as they get ready to come up here. There we go, the GTU standings, and Riley Thompson at the top of those, followed by Franco Scurry and Brian Shanahan. We've got quite a battle going on there for second. Scurry just coming up to pass Shanahan. Shanahan looks for a great result today. They're in third. Hideki Koivitso trying to hold on to fourth. Is Reed Miller making a late charge in the points, Joe. Finds himself in fifth, only 34 points out of first place.
Now, if you're used to watching the Kamel GT series, today is going to be a little bit different with it being at the Nürburgring. They have elected to do a 60-minute race, which is the endurance format for this series, which also means pit stops. And, Sean, the big thing I think the drivers are worried about in this, not so much pit stops, but that means they absolutely will catch the Audis in the Nissan class, the GTP class. So dealing with traffic, especially traffic that's so different from your own car on here, oof, I am glad I'm up here, not out on the track.
Yeah, and boy, it's going to be so important that you watch your relative today. And what do I mean when I say you talk watching your relative? Folks, what we're talking about is watching the time that a guy is either ahead of you or behind you, and depending on class, really being acutely aware of really what the distance is between you two, because you want to put yourself in the right spot. There's Joe, there's 154 turns to get in trouble in around here. You need to pick the point of less resistance to get around guys here if you just want to finish. Off tracks will end your race, Joe. It's quite simple. It will not be tolerated here, as green hell regularly takes its victims.
Yeah, I have no doubt that attrition will play a part in the finishing order of this race. So if you were a betting person, well, today is probably a good time to bet on one of the less likely drivers to maybe get up on the podium or top 5 or potentially even a win. We'll see. So we watch the drivers just finishing up the warm-up. A few seconds left there, and then we'll go to the grid. Thankfully, it is a rolling start here with these vehicles. They'll have a little bit of ways up the Darinurhua, and then they will get going just after turn 13 at the classic pits.
Joe, will I have an opportunity to spread my bets around a little bit? Just increase my chances of doing well here at the window?
That's a Bill question, not me, I guess. All right, let's go through the starting grid. On the pole, Rob Olenek. And I think our grid is a little bit mixed up there on the screen.
I think it's coming in now. There we go.
All right. Well, I think I've got it figured out on mine. So Ardo Iamaki, I'm seeing on the pole on mine, followed by Fabian Gerber starting in second. Rob Olenek will be in third with Luis Emerton in fourth position. Jamie Hall starts in P5 with Andreas Arvanitantonis in sixth. Fabian Jungbluth starts in P7 today. Clayton McLeod in eighth, followed by Michelle Rugenbrief in ninth. Top 10 rounded out by Hideki Koivisto, coming over from the Lotus 49s a couple hours ago. Ioannis Mumaludi is starting in 11th, and Alexander Topfer will be 12th in the Nissan. Sean?
Got some good ones there today, Joe. Ove Trengrade is going to start off for the Audis. Michael Houghton starts second. Yuko Lascala third. Philip Lake fourth. Riley Thompson fifth. Branko Scurry sixth. Ben Lafter seventh. Reed Miller eighth. Marco Kika ninth. Martin Putz 10th. 11th go to Darren Ferrer. Steve Hogan 12th. 13th. Michael Sullivan. Jordan Robinson 14th today. 15th. Stefan Scheller. Richard Keogh will start 16th. And Don, tell me something good. Starting here in 17th back to the field, 29th overall, Joe.
So you see them working their way up into Huanran and Tiergarten. Past Antonius Busch. Drivers are going to have 60 minutes to try and work their way around this track. It is a nightmarish place with the barriers very close. A lot of bumps, a lot of hard curbs. Drivers will have to be on their toes for sure. The roof pace car comes through the final few quarters. Can Gerber take himself another win? That's the question. Ardo Iamaki is going to lead them off. He gets the green flag before he even gets to the last corner here and takes off like a shot as our Nissans accelerate away. Most of them trying to get themselves sorted out. Luis Emerton, though, in a fight with Rob Olenek for third place. And before they get that settled out, we got to go to the Audis.
Oh, Joe, and the Audis getting off to a fast start. Ove Trengrade going to get away first. Michael Houghton fought him there for a moment and fought better at another mover. Philip Lake getting through. Actually not getting through. Riley Thompson was able to get around him.
On screen, we saw a little bit of Emerton clashing into the Armco as he fought with Olenek side by side, but I think he's come away with it. He lost the position to Olenek and stayed ahead of his teammate Jamie Hall. He's still out on track. Oh no, and as I say that, he's actually behind Jamie Hall right now. And I think he is down on speed because there goes the car of Andreas Arvanitantonis. Now we've got the replay. Let's take a look at this.
Oh. We're on the replay now.
You see heading down into Hotzenbrook, just to the outside. Oh, and it was a little bit of net code that sent him sliding out. That could have been a lot worse, but great recovery from the UK&I driver.
So,
did you spot something here, Sean?
Oh, more than just something. Phil Lake had big trouble. He got off course, and who was it? Missed Marco Kika misses the braking totally, and a bunch of cars. Richard Keogh, Jordan Robinson, all got caught up. Steve Hogan just destroyed cars. I think we can catch a replay of it here.
We're on it right now. Wow. Yeah, that was a huge mess. Thankfully, everyone from here on the replay does get through. We're going to watch it one more time. I think what happened, I saw some of the drivers talking about this in the forums, that the Audi, unless you set the springs upright, tends to bounce around quite a bit over the leap of Flugplatz.
Yeah, that boy, that was really rough. Tell you what, it's rough up front though right now, and Joe, Riley Thompson just got up to second place, getting around Michael Houghton, who is struggling. He just gives up his spot to Yuka Lascala. Now Lascala is on the charge in the third, but Houghton carrying some considerable damage on his Audi. On the right front, I'm seeing it, down the right door.
Oh, and Riley has a big slip up. and he somehow saves it out of the barrier. My goodness, this is a chaotic start to this race.
Yeah.
And that sends Riley back those 2 spots. Houghton gets back up into third. La Scala, oh, he must be smiling ear to ear. He is now in second at the front of this train with a clear path, the 4 seconds up to train grade.
Yeah, La Scala finally on the move, finally able to clear the traffic and get to work on trying to go catch Ove Trendgrade, who's already jumped out to about 4 seconds on the rest of the field here.
We see him heading his way up the Kesselchen. As they work their way up towards Bravery Corner. Houghton had a little bit of a peak because he had a draft on La Scala, but decided to wait for now. Oh, and it might pay off because La Scala a little bit off, and still just not enough track for Houghton to make a pass.
Yeah, Yuko got away with one right there.
It's starting to back up the cars behind them. Thompson is caught back up. Franco Scurry is now with them, and Ben Laughter as well.
I can hear the Tifosi screaming now for Franco.
They made their way all the way up to the Eifel Mountains?
I think so. I think that was agreed, a big road trip this weekend.
Well, up at the top of the Nissans, things have closed in for the lead as well. Remember, Gerber is on a good run lately. Ardo Iamaki very much under threat by Fabian. As they close in on the latter part of the lap, we ride on board with Gerber right now. Moving their way back and forth through the Beloff S, then into Swallowtail. Cars having immense grip through these fast corners, up and over the crest, into the mini carousel. And Gerber getting closer and closer to the rear wing of Iamaki. They're coming up to the Dottinger Hohe. This is a good opportunity to try and slingshot by.
Sure, absolutely, Joe. This is where you want that opportunity, and he looks like he's going to settle right in and try and take it now. Of course, the lead car always going to try and break the draft some way. You'll see a lot of weaving through here and guys trying to throw the pack off behind them, but generally it fails. And nice hole being cut in the air right there, and he's going to come around and pull it off here, Joe.
Yep, failed there again, but look at how much he stalls out now that he's out of the slipstream. Iamaki is right behind him. Gerber is going to try and cover him off, and Iamaki not brave enough to try and take it back.
I don't think bravery. I don't think that's important right now. I think common sense should prevail right now.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Now, we mentioned it during the pre-race, Sean, but the good news for the drivers who have taken some damage.
Hang on, Joe. Sorry, an overtake here. Houghton getting by La Scala just as they get ready to set up for the Dottinger Hohe, and I honestly think La Scala let him go here because they're going to try and get away from the rest of the field, try and drop Riley Thompson, Franco Scurry, and the guys. No, I guess not. La Scala has opted to drag race him, Joe.
Well, I mean, if he gets ahead of him, like he's trying to there, and not have enough room, I was going to say maybe they could swap back and forth. So we'll see. If we, and Houghton's going to stay ahead. Oh, very close once again with Yuko. He backs out of it.
He gave him a bump there, Joe.
Yeah, he did. Now, I understand something happened with Fabian Gerber that we missed. We saw just a bit of it. Let's take a look at what exactly went on here. This is coming out of turn 13, the final corner. And down into turn 1, he loses the position because he's in second right now. Oh, gearbox not serving him well. And that hands it right back to Iamaki. As we come back live, Gerber's not giving up on him. He is rocked right up to the gearbox once again.
Yeah, not the first time we've seen that happen in Nissan. And sometimes that's resulted in blown motors, Joe, and right now, you kind of feel lucky he's still rolling.
Absolutely. He is very much hounding him. Oh, was that a bit of a mistake from Iamaki down through Metzgefeld? Gerber closed very quickly through there. It's one of those swift corners where the grass is right there waiting to screw you up, Sean.
Yeah, and this course is tight enough. You add in that little bit of turf that you have to work with, and it generally can bring big tragedy. Certainly send you offline and get you into one of those precarious moments that you want to try and avoid all day.
Through Defense Valley they work. And looks like Iamaki has responded as he stretches away a little bit, working their way through Brideside, and then up through X-Mule. Haven't looked back at the Audis in a bit, and it looks like that started to separate a little bit other than Houghton and La Scala.
Yeah, it has become the Houghton and La Scala show, but guess what, Joe? Riley Thompson actually starting to close in just a little bit, and he does still have Ben Laughter and Franco Scurry in tow, so it's spread out a little bit, but not a bunch here. You know, one slight mistake by any driver going to scuff off the speed, lose a bit of little time, and then it's a race again. So for now, La Scala up there seems to have backed off just a little bit on Houghton, but Ben Laughter right now being chased by Franco Scurry, and those two having one of the closer battles here in the Audi class.
Right on board with Franco right now. You can see for a little bit just how closely he had to get to the back of Laughter. Oh, and is that Thompson with a mistake up ahead of them? Thompson was off course and now has slowed down. I'm not sure if he hit the wall or not. He's taken off, so it looks like he's at least got a decent car under him still.
Yeah, no, he hit it. He clattered it pretty good, Joe. Oh, boy, and we got it on the replay. Here's the 18.
There it is.
One white car.
Down into Defense Valley, just outbraked himself, and he's taken a tow. Riley Thompson has decided his car is not healthy enough to make it the rest of the way around.
Wow. That shot was hard.
That's because he hit the wall again. There we go.
Oh.
Must have seen it on screen just before we went. So, with that,
wow,
another one bites the dust. That leaves Michael Houghton a little bit more safe. Same thing with La Scala. Ben Laughter moves up into fourth. Franco Scurry gets promoted to a top 5 now.
Now, Joe, if Riley's got one thing working for him, if they can get some repair on the car, he probably won't need to pit again. Be in the window. He should definitely get back out here and try to get some points if they can get some damage repair on the machine.
Yeah, as long as it's handling okay, he can still come out. But that's the thing. The one thing you don't want around here, Sean, is an ill-handling car.
No, not at all. In fact, if it's ill-handling, Joe, it's sometimes just better to just opt to park it. I mean, really, if your wheel is cocked 30, 45 degrees to the left and, you know, you're really having to crab it through this track, it's just... It's the track is misery itself. Don't add to it by getting out there with a banged up car.
Fans of Michel Rugenbrink, well, he's moved himself up to 7th. Fans of Lewis Emerton, bad news is he has fallen further down. He is now in 8th. Speaking of a car that really should pit for repairs. Oh, and a pass for the lead happening. Gerber slingshots by on the Dottie Narhoa once again. And are we going to see a repeat, though? Can Gerber get his gearbox to behave?
Yeah, Joe, and I really think this is where we're going to... I mean, we talked about it in the pre-race. Looks like the Dot in their hole is really where it's all going to be settled today as far as really good passing opportunities. The challenges at the track right now have been a little bit too tricky for a lot of these guys. Joe, I don't think we ever talked about the weather. Right now, I've got 105 degrees Fahrenheit on track. That's a factor to be absolutely clear.
It absolutely is. Partly cloudy out there, so even though it's only 78 degrees, so not too hot, the track itself certainly boiling up a little bit. Now, the bad news for Gerber and Iamaki is if they do fight other than on that Dottie Narhoa, Olenek is only 2 seconds back, so he's not far away. If they slow each other up, it's going to be easy. And we just saw on screen, Lewis Emerton did, in fact, elect to come in to get repairs. They do not have a spare car in this series, So he is going to have to hope that his team has a very good sledgehammer out there.
Yeah, and we have seen our fair amount of attrition already. Lots of cars sitting in the pit taking that damage repair.
Few retirees, Philip Blake, Steve Hogan, and Riley Thompson, are all out of their cars now.
In fact, Phil Lake has made his way over to the chat and was explaining how the Audi is hard work, that it's constantly moving around under you. And imagine being on one of those four-wheel furniture dollies that you see every now and then. Now that, oh, Trengerade on screen with a mistake. We need to get him on screen. He just made a mistake there, Joe. Coming, where was he at?
That was Hohenrad.
Yeah, and Hohenrad there. He's going to slide it in there, and boy, just avoids clattering the barrier there.
We're going to watch on board. That was a beautiful job collecting that car together.
See it. Danger lurks everywhere. Just got in a little bit hot there.
And you have to take that car in so fast to get time there. Now, here's some interesting news as well. Remember Emerton and I believe Ioannis also taking repairs in the pits. These Audis have gone by them, Sean. Now, the reason I bring that up is because that means our lead Audis, if they get out of the pits here soon, they're not going to get a blue flag with those Nissans coming up, which makes it even more precarious.
Yeah, right. You don't get that early warning system is what I like to call the blue flag. Faster traffic is coming. Yeah, now you really, I talked about it in the pre-race show, you got to pay attention to your relative today. You got to have a relative window open somewhere and keep your eyes on where everybody's at.
Closest battle on screen right now, that is between Laughter and Scurry, still going at it, still within half a second. Scurry is going to get that draft coming up to the Swedish cross here, but not flat out in these Audis, definitely. So even though there's a passing opportunity into Ehrenberg, Scurry's too far back for now. Well, let's stay on this battle, but just an update. Sean, I think Gerber was being held up because he's already stretched a 2-second gap over second place Iamaki.
Yeah, I think you're right, Joe. And the DX driver, I'm gonna make a bold assumption. This probably close to a home track for him. He seems to be really dialed in now and starting to drop Ardo. Not used to seeing Ardo get dropped, but it's 2 seconds and it's climbing. So. I think Gerber's found his groove here on Green Hill.
Well, and you're not wrong, Sean, because it's the only German track on the iRacing service. So by default, it would be his home track here.
Yeah, and there are some great German tracks. It'd be nice to get one more possible.
Oh, I hope we get a few. There's definitely some. Alas, we can't get the old Haken, but maybe they'll scan the new ones one of these days. So as we watch Iamaki, the Finn, continue to circle around, he has held the gap back to Olenek, so there's some good news for him that he's at least on pace to hold on to this second if he can keep the car hold. We've seen it's a little bit easier said than done today. Still 43 minutes, Sean. We have a lot of racing left to go.
Yeah, we really do, and this one's taken a bit. Honestly, sometimes they go by and it's in the snap of a finger. You've killed most of the race, and this one just seems to be laboring on right now. But you know what? That's the story of Green Hell, and it's always a bit of a slog, and it's always an endurance race, Joe. Even if it's a 3-lap race, the time it takes you to get around here and the focus, concentration, could break with a problem.
Yeah, and he's discovered one of the issues that you tend to run into at the ring, which is if you get perpendicular to the track, it can be tough to get the car turned around. So let's see, is this up into ice curb, it looks like? Oh, and just a little bit too much curb, and it immediately just slides right into the Armco.
Yeah.
Oh, McLeod has a problem as well. Rukenbrink just went past him. This is into Flansgarden. Or out of Flansgarden. Wow. You are going very fast up through there, and that was a huge hit.
It really was. Guys spinning all over the place. Stefan Scheller was one of them also. mini carousel for him.
So we come back live. Clayton is trying his hardest to bring it back to the pits without that front clip. Always faster to try and drive the car back than it is to take a tow. Meanwhile, up at the front, just to confirm what we thought about Gerber being held up, he set the fastest lap of the race and continues to stretch his gap, which is now 3.3 seconds.
Yeah.
And Sean, you know, you brought up an interesting point that I believe it was Dawson while we were covering the 2.4 hours of the Nurburgring for the majors that I never really thought about, and I think is pretty accurate. He said that it seemed like stints went fast here for him because you're always focused. You never have time to relax. And, you know, I think he's right. It almost feels like endurance races don't take as long as at other tracks just because you never have the time to sit there and think about what's been happening.
Yeah, you're invested in every inch of the tarmac here and staying on it, most importantly. And my experiences in the cockpit have been very much the same here. It just flies by in the car. Oh, Ardo Iamaki being held up on screen here.
Oh, already getting some traffic in the way. That's brought Rob Olenek within threatening distance. It's down to 2/10, and they're coming up to a very fast section. He could get a slipstream. The bad news is they're coming up to Oudenauer Forst, Sean, and that is really not a place that you usually attempt to pass unless you're suicidal.
Right, exactly. Again, it's still too early to
they got more traffic.
Risky. Yeah, more traffic coming up here.
Jordan Robinson, and I think they're going to catch him at a good spot. He's going to stay off to the left. This is the run to Metzgefeld. This is a great spot for them to both get by. Oh, good work by Jordan. Hammering the brakes as they slow it down, then plunging down the hill through Callenhard. This is where the elevation drops away, and you've got some frightening corners through here. The Spielberg curve, and then miss, hit, miss, Sean.
Yeah, one of your favorite sections of the track, Joe.
Frightens me every time in every car I drive it in. Iamaki's doing a good job recovering. Let's stay on this, but fans of Emerton, he's starting to make his progress through. He's getting past some of the Audis for position at this point, picking them off one by one, trying to carefully tiptoe his way among the slower class.
Oh, Ben Laughter having trouble getting into the pit. He was coming in for a scheduled stop, Joe, and he missed the entry into his stall. He got one of the entries right there, or one of the pit boxes right past the cone. This is a bit of a tricky pit box, Joe.
This is a very unusual pit. It's not actually used for racing, we should point out. It's just used in these purposes for this track, this layout on iRacing. Look how narrow it is trying to get in there.
Yeah, it's not fun.
And there, yeah, it suddenly realized, oh, shoot, it was right there. Because you don't know where your pit is.
Yeah. Until
you start the race.
He's got to back it up in the lane, and then when he goes up, the tires are still spinning, and then this crazy stop there for Laughter. He finally gets back out.
Well, he'll return in 6th. Right now, Trangrade still leading that class, and by a significant margin. Houghton a whole 8.7 seconds behind the Scandinavian.
Yeah, but so far for Houghton, you know, another podium position. Been a great season for him, Joe.
But he's behind Trangrade on track, and he's behind in the points right now. So this is not what he wants. He wants to be ahead of him to try and challenge him down to the final 2 races after this one. So this could be critical for Michael. He's either, well, I'd say he's got to pick up the pace, but as you pointed out, it's always dangerous pushing beyond your limits around here. Do you hope that maybe your competitor has an issue and just keep it within the boundaries, or? Oh, and Youngbluth takes a massive hit.
Yes, he did.
Oh, was Robinson involved in this? Yes, he was. Robinson just got a little bit off track, and poor Jungbluth had nowhere to go.
Yeah, exactly, Joe. The track just got cut off right in front of him. Robinson's car shoots back across the track, and what are you going to do? It's too late to make a decision, and boy, he gets banged up really bad through there. And well, I'll tell you, was lucky to get through was Andreas Arventinitis, Artentintonis there.
RV, we nicknamed him in the past.
Yeah, Andreas just gets through that at the end. You know what? He's had a good race, Joe. I mean, he's sitting in 5th now. He's earned that one.
Well, we talked about it. Attrition can help you out as long as you keep your car from suffering from it. And right now, Andreas doing a beautiful job out there, almost to halfway through the race. Well, Luis Emerton is now ahead of all the Audis. Just past our leader, Ove Traingrade. He's got about 15 seconds up to Alexander Topher. The way that Luis is running, I think that's doable. Actually, that's now down to 13 seconds. So, yeah, I'd say he's going to catch him.
Yeah, I think so, Joe.
That car must be handling pretty good now that he's got some repairs on it. At least good enough. We were watching. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, sometimes good enough can be fine here. Okay, you got to keep it on the track.
Now, we were watching the battle between Iamaki and Olenek a little bit earlier. Remember, it was down to 2/10 at one point. Well, it's gone back up to 7/10. So even though Iamaki is not pulling away at a rapid rate, he is pulling a little bit of a gap over Olenek. Now, the real question is Olenek maybe riding the toe a little bit on the fast straights? This being one of them, coming up to the Swedish cross, then braking for Ehrenberg. And I'd say yes, because he gained about 2/10. He's going to get another bite of the apple down through the foxhole and compression. Car is getting up to full song, going downhill, and then up and over the crest into Adenauer Forst. Wow, look at him close in here through these left, right, left, right. And as that is happening, I think we have our first scheduled stop with Hideki Koivisto. They're in 7th in the Nissans. Wow, look at all the damaged cars lined up. There's Marco Kika heading in with his own damage on the left side.
That Audi has seen better days.
Koivisto back out in 7th position. So, 3 more minutes, and we will be exactly halfway through this race as we switch back up to that battle for second, Iamaki and Olenek, through Brideside, up towards X-Mule, and then the notorious Lauda Links. Wow, bad exit from Olenek coming up the hill there. That's going to cost him time. This is exactly when he doesn't want to lose time, because now they come up to one of those long flat-out sections, Sean, Kesselchen. And now the question is, can they do it in 12 parsecs?
I don't have a solid answer for that, but
allegedly,
right? Okay. I am keeping an eye on Ove Traingrade right now. Okay, now he is on the Dottner hole now, and I got to imagine pit stop. Oh, you know what? I wasn't live, Joe. Well, that answered my own question. Sorry about that. He is, he's good. He didn't stop.
Oh, did Scurry have a problem? Oh no! Into the pits, did he? What in the world happened? He's just stopped. Let's see the replay. I think this was an unintentional pit entry. as the rear of the car starts to come around and just clatters into the Armco a little bit.
Yeah, and you know, he had a problem just before getting onto the dot in Ho. He had a problem and made contact with the wall. Maybe that got the car off to begin with, but poor Franco having some trouble.
Takes a pit anyways, and side-by-side action between Olenek and Iamaki. Oh, this is a replay that we're seeing, and Olenek has done it. Interesting. Through the carousel, I'm guessing Iamaki, yeah. We're going to see it right here on the replay. Tries to send it down into that banking, and it was a little too much speed. It pops out. And that is so much slower on that side. You can see how easily Olenek gets by. Boy, you talked about the clearance of these cars in some places, Sean. The underside of this car is so critical to the downforce. I wonder if some drivers maybe are sustaining damage that they can't see, and it's hurting their pace.
Well, that certainly could be an issue, and with the damage that we are seeing, it could be hurting sight lines, and that will definitely affect your pace. First of all, you're scanning the track as you're making way through here, okay? And a lot of guys have markers. You can't see those markers. You don't know where you're at. You don't know where you're going to turn in. Then you get off the throttle. You find yourself backing up these turns, and what does that add up to at the end of a lap? Well, it can add up to more than a couple of seconds. It could be as much as 10 seconds on your time, just for those little misses in your strategy there.
As they fly down the dotting Ho, you can see Iamaki closing in slowly but surely. I think he's a little bit too far back. It's going to be close once they get up to Tiergarten. Yeah, he's going to run out of road, unfortunately, so the Finn will stay behind for now. This has got to be a little bit frustrating. No, he started on the pole. Oh, and he is going to take a strategy call on this one. Look at that. I'd say that was a very clever move of Ardo.
A lot of cars having trouble with the pit stops today, and
now we saw
a clean one.
We saw something interesting on screen there at the end of the pit lane with Iamaki. That little gas station there, you have to be careful when you pull out, Sean. I can tell you from experience, you can damage the car because they are regulation like street curbs, basically.
Yeah.
At the sides of that.
Yeah, you can end your race before you even get it started there. You hit him just right.
Thankfully, Iamaki did not try and drive over them.
Joe, Ove Trengrade seems to be struggling with the car a little bit right now. Maybe got a little bit too comfortable, but he's had a couple scrapes. Hasn't slowed him down much, but the track seems to be winning right now. He is. Maybe it's time for a pit stop, quick break to kind of refocus.
Well, even with that, he's still farther ahead than when we last looked. He's got 10 seconds over Howard now. So I think it seems like he's got it under control. Well, I haven't seen his offs though, so I don't. You know better than me whether he really is pushing it too hard.
It was nothing major, but I mean, it just a couple of small little incidents. He's got a little bit of damage on the front end, not much. A little bit on the right side, just a touch here and there. But we've watched Ove race a bunch, man, and sometimes focus is his biggest enemy. So hopefully he can hang on to it here as he sets up here and has made his way to the back part of the course. And I just wonder if now, as the crew chief, the guy who's on the box sometime, maybe this is a great time to come in and get a quick breath of fresh air.
Could be, as we watch him leap down into Flansgarden. Past the halfway point. Got a lot of DNFs now. Philip Lake, Steve Hogan, Riley Thompson, Michael Sullivan, Marco Kika, Giannis Mumuludi, Stefan Scheller. Nope, Don Good is back out there. Clayton McLeod looks like he is in the pits. He might try and come back out. And then Fabian Jungluth and Luis Emerton both out of this race as well. We are down to, I believe, about 19 cars still on track. Out of 29 starters. So, up to third place. Looks like, oh, and are we going to see a pass here? Iamaki breezes by Jamie Hall. Well, what happened there? When did Jamie Hall get by, actually? Oh, that was during the pit stop, excuse me.
Right, when Iamaki was in.
So interesting. I didn't think he was that much faster than Jamie. They can take tires. Are fresh tires worth that much in this car, Sean?
It's hot on track, Joe. It probably wouldn't hurt today. Certainly, if you're having a lot of close moments out there sliding the car around, not a bad idea to get some.
So could we see maybe a leapfrog here with Olenek out there on older tires yet to take his stop? He's about 26 seconds ahead of Iamaki, and I'm seeing he was on the lane, what looks like 27 seconds on my time and scoring?
Yes, 27, that's what I got.
So I think he's going to be able to get him. I think this is going to be a slam dunk for Iamaki as soon as Olenek comes in for his stop. Now with Emerton out, we missed what happened to him. I'm not sure if you'd be able to find that for us, Sean, and see if we can figure out why he's retired, because he was on his way back. And I know he had passed all the Audis, but while you're looking at that...
Yeah, I'm looking for it, Joe.
We'll watch Iamaki push his way further forward as that gap up to Olenek continues to come down bit by bit. Olenek actually getting close to the Dottie Hoa soon. He's through Swallowtail now, that zigzag machine. He's going to have to push hard, and even if he does, I don't think he's going to be able to keep Iamaki behind him. Up to Gallows Hill now. Fast multi-apex right-hander leading onto the longest straight of the track. Here is the Dottie Hoa as we ride on board with Rob.
Well, I bet, in the meantime, I did find what happened to Emerton. Probably a little bit too far back to go and catch it, but he had just completed a lap and was getting onto the Dottie Hoa, and not on the Dottie Hoa, I'm sorry, he's come past start-finish line, coming down the hill, and he missed the braking zone, and then he just stopped it off the side of the track. He clattered the wall really hard and brought it into the pit. And
I guess 2 contacts with the wall, just too much for one day for him, unfortunately, as Olenek slows it up for Hohenron up to turn 13 and completes another lap, but keeps it out, curiously. Now, these cars can't make the full race distance, Sean, so he is going to have to come in at some point.
Yep, going to have to give up the ghost at some point here.
And did Topher take a tow here? Going to take a look to see. Oh, yes, he had a big hit. In fact, he was stuck in the wall. Going to have to back it up a little bit more here. You can see what happened. Just a bit of a glitch. It was through miss, hit, miss. See, through the Spiegel curve as we ride on board. What happened? Did he get the curb? Oh, yeah, it turned in a little bit too soon. There's a little bit too much hit, not enough miss.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you get it buried in the wall like that, obviously you have no choice. You hit a glitch there. And
if we stay on this, he managed to get it loose, but not the way he wanted. Watch this, Sean, as it comes through, and whoops.
Oh, wow.
So that was an oops.
Talk about adding insult to injury there. Jeez.
That is why Topher is in the pits now. So moving on and embarrassing him a little bit less, let's report that Fabian Gerber has taken his stop. Now, here's what's interesting, Sean. Gerber's come out behind Iamaki. So Iamaki not only is looking like he is going to jump Olenek, I think he's jumped our leader. I think Iamaki is in a net lead position.
You're absolutely right, Joe.
Well, wow. Gerber had a longer stop, actually.
Yeah, he did. It was a full, what, 9 seconds?
10 seconds, yeah. Maybe he was repairing some damage.
Well, that's certainly possible, and obviously you don't have any choice on whether or not you can repair that damage. It repairs what it repairs, and will keep you in there for as long as is required for the stop.
Makes me wonder if maybe he lost his front clip. No, it's there when he ran in. I was trying to see if maybe he hit something and just had the luck of being able to come in immediately after, but no, he was just looking like a scheduled stop. So something that we didn't see, unfortunately. Gerber suffering some issues and is now currently in third, but we believe in net second.
Now, Joe, right now the top 4 in the Audis have not come in. 4th place, Reed Miller. Reed has he's picked up a lot of spots here and having a solid drive, and this is a guy that's in the thick of the championship here in the top 5, getting into it kind of late. Reed is having a great drive today, and well, the last car, like I said, of this lead pack, that the top 4 that still need a pit stop. The question is, how quick can he get that stop done? He's got Ben Lafter about 15 seconds behind him, and I wonder if he could make this into a race between him and Lafter.
I'm sure he'd like that, but as you said, at some point for his pit crew, it's got to be Miller time. And so number 23, I don't blame me. It's on his car. It's on his car. But like you said, running around in 4th spot at the moment. This has been a fantastic race for Reed. He works his way through Flansgarden. Going to complete another lap around here. And just to give our audience even more of a sense, as he had a bit of a moment there, I think, there heading into the Beloff S, just how long these laps are. Reed, we're halfway through this race, is on lap 6 of his race. This is a long track.
How many laps did we do in a 24-hour? I'm trying to remember right now off the top of my head. Do you?
When we ran in the Miata?
Yeah, in the Mazda.
Oh, gosh. It was in the 60s, I want to say. Something like that. I can't remember at this point.
It's a staggering number, folks. I can guarantee you that. I just don't remember off the top of my head what it is. Ove's in. And now Houghton, realizing that Ove came in, makes a last-minute decision to get off the track. He almost stops right in the middle of the track to make the entrance.
It's a difficult entrance to get into. It's not meant for racing pit stops. La Scala also follows suit. I wonder if this is the farthest that these guys can go.
Well, without risking it, and you don't want to risk a toe on the Dr. Hope.
Yep, there we right on board with Reed. Ove train grade is in and out. Houghton follows suit. And La Scala will shortly. Now Reed Miller also coming in. Yeah, this looks like just about the limit of how far these Audis can make it.
That was a hot stop for Michael Houghton. Joe, he was 8 seconds better in the box than Ove Trendgrade, and now this is the race again. Ove struggling to get out. Houghton opportunity just in front of him. Oh, Yuko La Scala still caught in his box, Joe.
What if he's
he's just now getting out.
What if he's another driver that had to deal with some damage repair because he was in a long time. Miller out as well.
Yeah,
Lafter gets promoted to 3rd now.
Yeah, Miller struggled with his stop right there, and that cost him, unfortunately. Could have been a lot closer to Ben Lafter.
So where is our leader? Oh, our leader's pitting right now. Rob Olenek finally comes in for his stop. Iamaki should pass him by. Now, the question is Gerber going to get by him? Because I said, I think, in that second, but, as soon as I said that, I thought, well, if Olenek has an old stop, he could yet still come out with Gerber. Yamaki goes by. Gerber coming up now. And he's by Olenek. So, does look like it is a third place for Rob. Out well ahead of his teammate, though, we should point out, who pitted before him. Jamie Hall just coming down the Dottinger now. Only one of our top Nissans yet to pit, I believe, is RV. Andreas is coming up right now, wondering if he's going to come in. And he does. That leaves Hideki Koivisto, who we know who has pitted. He just is not showing up on my time and scoring for some reason. "16 minutes left. 1/4 of the race still to go here." Your leader up in the Nissans, now that we've seen all the cars pit, is Ardo Iamaki. With a swift pit and some good planning, he got himself back up front. Fabian Gerber, unfortunately, with a long pit stop, slips into second and has been reeling in Iamaki bit by bit. We could see a repeat at the start of the race here. Olenek sits in third, rounding out our podium now, just completed his stop. His teammate Jamie Hall runs a 4th place, and RV with a great run from him from 6th to 4th. This is great stuff from Andreas. Excuse me, 6th to 5th for Andreas, as I was looking at the wrong time in his scoring there. What about our top 5 Audis there, Sean?
Well, it's Ove Trengrade still in command of the Audi field, but Michael Houghton with a great pit stop is in a position where, you know what, Ove slips up just a little bit. There could be opportunity for him. Ben Lafter currently sitting back in 3rd. Yuko La Scala right now in 4th, and he can't be too happy about that right now. Things started off so well for him and went so south. Now 5th is Reed Miller. Now, there is one driver I want to bring up, and that's Darren Ferrer. Okay, the UK&I driver currently sitting in 7th, all right, in the Audi field. He has not taken a pit stop yet, Joe. He is trying to do something that none of the other drivers did here, and that's keep it out for one more lap. And I wonder how close he could possibly be on fuel. He is, certainly off pace from the leaders, but as being that far off pace really gained him an extra lap.
This is probably the hardest track to get an extra lap of fuel on.
I guess what I'm saying is I think Darren might run out of fuel, and I hope not. But either he's got a secret to something that nobody else did, or they all played it safe by coming in at 6 laps.
Now I know we can see what's happening on the dashboard of the cars now. Are we able to see fuel levels in these cars? Or does that not show accurately? Because I know we can see the revs and what gear they're in.
Yeah, Joe, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. Maybe the peanut gallery does. Hey, guys.
I send it to the YouTube chat. All right. We're right on board with Ove Trengrade right now, but that won't really feed us what the fuel level is. Usually it's a little red light that you can see in these Audis when you get low. Ooh, La Scala and Laughter getting ever closer. Yuko now within a second of Ben. I think he's going to get the draft going up the Dottinger Hoa here soon. We got a few more quarters to get there. And he continues to reel him in even before the draft. He's a half second quicker through those few corners alone. So as Yuko continues to hound him, working their way through Swallowtail now. This is starting to look like a matter of when, not if, he can get by Ben Lafter. Oh, and Ben is pushing that car. He's trying to take it all the way to the edge. Here it comes, Sean, onto the Dottinger Hoa. Oh, and Laughter just a little bit off, but I think Yuko also goes a little wide through there himself. He's going to be close enough. He's within 4/10. There's going to be a huge hole in the air punched by that boxy Audi up ahead.
Here it comes. You'd see it, just, man, pulling him in.
Wow. Yuko making it look easy. Telling that blockbuster car that spot was just rented.
Well, he completes it. He gets the pass done. And right where he needed to, too, before the track starts to break down. Oh! Ben sent it.
Oh, he was trying it. Both of them were in there very hot as Yuko himself got a little sideways as well, but they both come out the other side. But Yuko back onto the podium. Unfortunately for him, though, 30 seconds behind Michael Houghton, who is within a second and a half of Ove Trangray. Things closing in at the top of both of our classes.
Yeah, man, Houghton is right there. This is about as close as this battle's been all race, to be honest with you, Joe. I got to commend Houghton for his pit stop, because that's really the difference at this point. And ever since coming out, he's been able to just be steady enough to keep Ove right up there in front of him.
He took another half second off of them. Through Ehrenberg, now plunging down through the valley. Houghton has got the bit between his teeth as we ride on board with the driver. So as he reels him in bit by bit, just to give you an update, Gerber was down to 4 seconds on Iamaki. It's stretched back up to 4.9. I think he had a mistake recently that cost him a little bit. I think he had some traffic, it looks like. He had to get through an Audi, unfortunately.
Well, hopefully he didn't go through him. But listen, traffic, the great equalizer, Joe. We call a lot of races here on the Global Sim Racing channel. How often in multi-class racing does that level everything out?
Well, many a times, and it's so difficult as we watch Fabian go by another Audi, this time Ben Laughter. And then it's going to be Yuko Lascala, who we just saw fighting with Laughter. So he's getting up to the top Audis at this point. In fact, Iamaki having to work through the same traffic. He's approaching Michael Houghton in probably the next 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, well, Iamaki will get to him first here, and then Gerber will have to deal with it. But Ardo starting to close in. Can't see them up in front of him yet, but it won't be long.
There you see him heading through X-Mule and Houghton right now, heading up through Kesselchen. These Nissans much, much faster around a lap than the Audis, with them getting much of their speed in fast corners. Wishing his way around Bergwerks. And climbing up the hill. Now, you talked about the peanut gallery weighing in on things. This is an interesting theory coming from our viewers in the YouTube chat, Sean. I think that maybe Houghton took one last lap of fuel, hoping that the Nissans would get them before the end. So taking a little bit of a risk, potentially.
Possibly so. Yeah, and you know what? Risk isn't bad. It's not bad as long as it's a calculated risk, Joe.
Yeah, I was going to say, tell me about risking fuel, Sean, around the Nurburgring.
Yes. Yeah, it's not something you really want to play with.
Especially for a full lap of fuel.
Yeah.
But look at how quick he is closing. I mean, if he has a full lap less of fuel, I wouldn't think that... I'm not sure how much fuel they use around a lap, but would that be enough that he would be so much lighter, that he would be this much quicker than Ove as well?
Boy, that's sure possible, but
Ove had a little off coming into Ashbrook there.
And that's kind of what I wanted to say. Again, Ove is under a lot of pressure right now to win this race, and this is not the track you want to be under a lot of pressure. And Ove gets it out of the dirt again.
We've seen this before from the Scandinavian, Sean. We know that under pressure, he doesn't always perform the best.
Yeah.
He makes mistakes, and critical mistakes sometimes, throwing entire races away.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not being mean or even overly critical. Things are just what they are, and we've seen this before. So is Michael Houghton, for that matter. So therefore, he knows he has a chance. He just got to keep digging, be smart here.
We jump up to our leader, up through the Beloff S. You can see at the front of the screen, flashing by, those are our Audi leaders. The white flag's going to be flying next time by. Way up on the bank in there for Ardo. So, if this is what Michael banked on, I think, well, that should work out for him if he took a little bit less fuel than Ove did. Oh, he's going to get a tow from the Nissan for a bit.
A little help here. Not much, but got a little bit. It gets him on a nice run, and here he goes.
Yeah, that's all you need as Ardo goes by, but now the favor gets returned to Ove. Well, Ove's starting to catch it. Remember, these Audis are incredibly fast in a straight line, and he's catching the Nissan. Wow.
That's great. Yeah, we got both leaders battling.
Yeah, that's Gerber just behind, coming up to this traffic. Oh, just sneaks by Houghton in time. That was gutsy.
Very gutsy.
That was a move of a man who knows that he's only got one lap to go and needs to be right on the gearbox of the car ahead.
And
but look at what that, yeah. Poor Ove Trangrade caught out heading into the north curve. That brings Houghton right up behind him. Sean, 60 minutes of racing in both classes. Oh, Ove Trangrade goes off. Ove Trangrade through Hotzenbrook with Michael Houghton slipping through. We're going to watch the replay.
Yeah, I don't know how to comment on this. Just watch it unfold, folks.
But look at him keep it off the tires. That was important and beautifully done. Oh, La Scala's out of fuel. Oh no! Speaking of gambling on fuel, the Finn is an entire lap short.
Oh boy.
Serious miscalculation. Well, we mentioned Trangrade struggling under pressure. And that's not the first time we've seen him make a mistake going through Hotzenbrook. But the good news for Ove, he's still within half a second as he slides it through Ehrenberg. He is pushing to stay with Houghton. If he can stay up with him, by the time they get to Donninger Hoa, he's got another chance to take this back, Sean.
Oh yeah, he's going to get a run at him. More traffic coming through, though. Got to be careful here.
This is Olenek.
Yeah, Olenek got to get through.
Well, the good news is Olenek has no one nearby at all, so he can wait patiently here if he decides to, and so far it looks like he is. Going to accelerate past second place Trangrade. Has to wait patiently between them through Metzgefeld. I think he's going to be able to outbrake our leader. Oh, he's going to hold him up a little bit. Houghton saw him coming, lets him have the apex.
That was close, man. That was
very close. Great job by Michael to see that one coming, though, and give him just enough space. I think, you know, often I see that, Sean, that I feel like that makes the difference in this series, is that knowledge of each driver, knowing just where to place the car and what you can have to give them. That's where you see the fast drivers, like Houghton.
Yeah. Well, Joe, apparently our reach is far and wide. My understanding, we're being spectated on it in at Indianapolis Motor Speedway right now, where John Keefe is at. He's got it up on the screen.
Well, hello to all those at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Glad that you're able to join us here during the month of May, all the way out in the Nurburgring, as we watch our leaders. Fabian Gerber not gaining ground on Iamaki here on this long straight up through Kesselchen and Bravery Corner. That could be critical. If Iamaki can keep himself just far enough from Fabian, he could keep from being passed on the long Dottie Hoa.
All right, I know you're really concerned with that battle. I'm concerned with the one that involves Houghton and Treadgrade right now. And, Treadgrade had fallen off quite a bit. And then all of a sudden, he picks up a bunch of ground, and now here he comes. This is most definitely going to come down to the battle of the Dotner Hoe.
Certainly will, as they head their way towards the carousel. Treadgrade got him within his sights. I don't think he's trying anything other than just holding him steady right there at this gap in front of him, knowing he's going to get a great opportunity. Meanwhile, farther up, Gerber chops off 0.2. It's now 1.2 to Iamaki. He's reeling him in. It's now 1 second. 2 more tenths gone. This is going to be, so tight. Yeah.
We both, how fortunate are we? We both have an exciting battle to call here.
Well, thankfully, I think we're going to get enough of a break between them, as these guys will probably get to the finish line just as the Audis hit the Dottie Hoa.
Yeah, everybody's going to get their spotlight today, Joe.
Iamaki started it on pole, lost it, slipped all the way down to third momentarily. Through strategy, through hard effort, has got himself back up to first, but now it's under threat again. Fabian Gerber, it's a 1.2 second gap. They're coming up to Gallows Hill. This is the critical mark. What can Gerber do around this corner? 1.1 seconds now. 1 second. He's gaining on him. Is that close enough? Iamaki's got a draft from an Audi ahead of him. That's going to help just that little bit more. I think Gerber is too far behind. You can see them both on the screen. Gerber takes a whiff of the draft as well. It's down to 0.9, 0.8 of a second. He's gaining through Antonius Busch, 0.7 of a second. It's coming down. Gerber only has a few more tenths of a mile to go, 0.5 of a second. He's a little bit too far back. It's going to take a miraculous dive. They slow down for Hohenrods. Can he get him out of the final corner? It's down to 0.4 of a second. Iamaki just has to hit the gas smoothly, and he gets it. Iamaki wins at the Nurburgring.
Wow, what a finish.
And with an under 6 minute gap, what about our Audi battle for the lead?
Oh, Joe, they're on a Dotner Hoe, and here comes Ove Treadgrade and Michael Houghton trying to break it up. Oh, gotta be careful.
That looked a little bit naughty there.
It did. Ove Treadgrade got him dead to rights.
He's going to try and get him back, though. He gets back into his slipstream, takes a little bit of a peek, but Houghton's too far back. They slow it up for the S's. And Houghton takes it in too deep, trying to see if he can get him back. I think this one is going to go to Treadgrade. He slides a little bit around the corner, and he takes it across the line, barely in control. Treadgrade takes the win.
Wow.
What a race.
And Davey Hall's going to be just behind that. He's going to come around in fourth.
He does get third in the Nissans for that podium. Let's see, I believe Ben Laughter going to be our third place driver.
And this is going to be a podium for the team. And those two are going to be very happy walking away here from Germany today.
2-3 finish. Not bad for that blockbuster team. The number 9 works his way through the last few corners. Nicely done by Ben Laughter. With our podium done, and I don't see anybody else anywhere close for a pass somewhere in the rest of the field, I believe that's time to maybe call it a day here, but The broadcast is not over. We're going to have the official results as well as driver interviews, and on screen you're going to see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC, so don't go away. Welcome back to the Nurburgring. If it felt like the excitement of 1989, it wasn't just because of the retro cars out on track, but boy, the racing out there was incredible. Down to the line for the lead in both classes, and in the end, Arturo Yamaki managed to hold off Fabian Gerber. The gap at the line, 0.3 of a second after 60 minutes of racing. Rob Olenek is going to take a third, with Jamie Hall finishing in 5th. Andreas Arvana Tantonis finishes in 5th. I think I got it right that time. Michelle Rugenbrink takes 6th, and Hideki Koivisto 7th. Sean, you can take the Audis, but I think you can hand back to me once you've gotten through the ones that finished here.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll do this a couple times. All right, Ove Trendegrade is your big winner. Boy, what a classic battle with him and Michael Houghton. That will be one to remember for a bit. Houghton will be 2nd place, and boy, he really could have used that win today. Ben Laughter, Houghton's teammate there, in 3rd. That's the Mind Trick Motorsports team. Ben Laughter will finish 3rd, and 4th going to go to Reed Miller. Reed Miller, I'll tell you what, man, the guy had a great race today, and it's probably going to help him in the points even a little bit more. He finishes 4th. 5th for Franco Scurry. Franco Scurry and the Tifosi are happy. He finished the race and does a top 5 run today. Darren Ferrer winds up 6th, and folks, he did eventually have to come in for a pit stop. I can confirm that now. They're in 7th place. Richard Keogh with a good run here for him. Jordan Robinson will finish the race in 8th. And then, Joe, it looks like everybody else here, Martin Putz, 9th, 10th. Yuko Lascala, who ran out of fuel. We documented that. Then we've got Clayton McLeod will be the Nissan there that finishes 8th overall. And then, Joe, I'll stop here at Marco Kika, who winds up finishing 11th today in the Audis.
We have our DNFs in here. There were a lot. Alexander Topher finishing in 20th overall. Luis Emerton behind him, Fabian Jungbluth, Stefan Scheller, and then we've got cars as well that actually ran into trouble on lap 1 through Flugplatz. If you didn't watch the start of the race, go back and rewind and watch the poor Audis run into a horrible incident. Don Good involved, I believe, in there. Anis Muboludi, Luigi in 25th overall, Michael Sullivan 26th, Riley Thompson 27th, Philip Lake 28th, and Steve Hogan rounds out our field. Up in our waiting room, ready for interview, we have Michael Houghton, finished second in the Audis. Michael, you managed to get by, and then suddenly it looked like when you came to the Dodinger Hoa on that last lap, it was going to be a battle. What were you thinking as you came onto that last straight?
Man, I didn't know if I was going to hold it, and I started to weave back and forth on the straight, and then once I saw that he was closing in, I kind of knew that was it.
Yeah, it looked like maybe you were going to try and get him back a little bit into Huanran, but didn't quite happen. Now, talk about just racing this track in the Audi. We heard a number of drivers talk about the difficulties of Flugplatz and setting up the car right for that. In fact, we saw a major incident there on lap 1. How is it from your perspective? Did the cars actually get airborne over there?
Oh, yeah, you get 4 wheels off the ground, and the bad thing is that not all 4 hit the ground when you come back. So you have to keep the wheel straight and kind of tap on the brakes before that jump, because that thing will send you flying, hence the Flugplatz.
Still, you manage second place. This does keep you at least within touch of train grade for the championship. You've got 2 rounds to go. Can you overtake him, or is he too fast?
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give it out all I've got, man, just like today.
All right, attaboy. That is Michael Houghton. Congratulations.
Joe, real quick before we let Michael go, Mike, there's a lot of people watching you right now. Give him a shout out, man.
Hey, shout out to all my followers and all the people that like that blockbuster Audi. See you guys next week. Thanks for the work.
Second place finisher here today in the GTO class. So I believe up next, Sean is going to talk to Franco Scurry, who had some interesting battles throughout the race as well.
Okay, Franco, before we start, I want to tell you that like the entire turn 1 section of Indianapolis Motor Speedway is watching you via cell phone right now. So you have a big platform here. Congratulations. Top 5 finish at Green Hell. How do you feel, buddy?
Thank you. Ciao a tutti. Hello, everybody. I feel I am stupid. I do a mistake when I need to refuel the car, and after I lost the feeling with the car, with the front of the car. So I try to do the best for me with my car now. Thank you for all the people are looking me. And sorry again for my English.
Franco, your English is fine. Okay, please no apologies. Congratulations to you. That's what we're really here for about today. How much preparation do you have to put in for a track like this to just survive the race?
Before the race, I try to practice a lot. Maybe in the Nurburgring, Nordschleife, 10 or more, 20 laps. And a good knowing of a track is fundamentally for a good race. Ben is very fast here. I try to stay with him, but I do a mistake, and he make a trick. He came in the pit before me, and I was shocking for this. Good make, Ben.
Now, Franco, you being there in Italy, I've got to ask: have you ever made the trip to the Eiffel Mountains? Have you ever been there before?
Yes, I am in Italy.
No, but have you been to the Nurburgring before? Have you made the trip over there before?
Oh yes, in real life, yes.
Yes.
Every year we drive with my club, the Audi club, to the Nurburgring at the end of June, and we stay for 5 days, and we drive the Audi in the Nordschleife, and it is a fantastic track. It's unique. It's the only one in the world. A Disneyland for all men, young men, and all who loves the cars.
Well, Franco, you made a couple of us very, very jealous here in the booth, as we would like to get there someday ourselves. But congratulations again, and we'll see you next week, buddy.
I'm lucky to live in Europe near Nurburgring. It's only 700 kilometers from my house, but I hate you. You have Laguna Seca, yeah? And Daytona and Indianapolis is Road America, Road Atlanta. It's beautiful tracks.
Always a great interview with you. Thank you again, Franco. We'll see you next week, buddy.
It's my pleasure to stay with you. Thank you e ciao a tutti.
All right, and Joe, we got a ciao a tutti there.
Yeah. I did that last time too. No, yes. I love Franco's interviews. Those are always entertaining. He's a good time. So one last one. We've got third place, Ben Laughter, to talk to. Ben, you weren't quite in the same position as we saw with our leaders, where it was a battle all the way to the line. But are you happy that you had some alone time out on track? Do you prefer it that way, or would you have rather had someone to race against?
I always prefer to have someone to race against, especially here. This place has a way of putting you in a trance. When you're driving around by yourself, you start thinking about everything that isn't racing. And I caught myself a couple of times, and I was able to survive other people's mistakes today for a good finish.
Going to an incredibly different track, at least in terms of length, to Brands Hatch next week. Are you going to try and play support for your teammate Michael Houghton with him battling for the championship, or is it still every man for himself?
If I can pass Mike, dirty or clean, I'm going to pass Mike.
All right. That sounds good to me.
The gauntlet has been thrown down.
The good news is it's a hollow threat, guys. I'll never be able to pass Mike, so it doesn't matter.
All right. Well, before we let you go, because we got to close up, we got to prepare for an all-star race a little bit later today. Question for you. Favorite turn around the ring? Worst turn around the ring?
Oh, geez. When you hit the second carousel, the mini carousel, when you hit it just right and set up that next two corners onto the Duttinger Hoe, that is a brilliant, beautiful place. Where I struggle is the entire section between those two carousels. That's where the men separate themselves from the boys, and I'm a boy.
I'm with you. I am horrible up at the top of the mountain. Well, thanks for coming and talking to us. Congratulations on a podium, and hope to see you next week.
You bet, guys. See you later.
That was Ben Laughter. Third place today here in the GTO class. Didn't get any Nissans today, Sean.
No. Were they that disappointed with their performance? I don't know. We saw a great battle. I would love to talk to either Ardo or Fabian or anybody for that matter. But, hey, their loss, our gain, Joe, because we had 3 great interviews there. And, man, we had a great race there at the end in both classes.
Yeah, that one is absolutely a classic. Well, I'm sure we'll see that on the GSRC highlights someday soon. But in the meantime, we want to give a big thank you to the Kamel GT community as a whole for bringing GSRC back for another season. We love covering these races. And also thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go out to Eric Ekholm and to Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Also, thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjed, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including our upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. The big thing, if you're still watching over in Indianapolis, this is the one we want. Don't forget, head on over to our YouTube page. There's a big red subscribe button. Hit that button, and you will get to see all of our upcoming races here on GSRC and won't miss a thing. The next race that we're going to have that you hopefully won't miss, at least here in this series, is going to be Brands Hatch. That'll be a week from now, Saturday, May 26th, and that'll be at 1 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, see you on the track.